Horse stance is fantastic for a bunch of strength and mobility gains, but here's just a quick demo to give you an idea of the variations you can play with. So the way I like to set this up, I mean, literally you can just stand wide with the toes facing out, in a little bit, whatever's comfortable for you, and then sit down. But I always like to measure things to make sure we can keep it consistent so that we know that we're getting consistently better over time as well. So one easy way to do that is start with the feet together, and then you're literally going to heel toe out or toe heel out, however you want to do it, to get to the same spot. So I like to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a great place to start. From there, obviously, you can do a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on your mobility and depending on how easy this is for you. So with the toes again facing out a little bit, that's probably going to be a little bit more comfortable for you. The torso is going to stay upright the whole time. I want you to in fact pretend there's a wall directly in front of your chest and directly behind your back. Now that doesn't mean that you need to stay in posterior pelvic tilt. In fact, and I'll show you in a moment, I want you to stay slightly anterior if anything. But the main thing is that we are staying upright with the torso. From there, it's a matter of obviously hiking the shorts up so you don't get stuck and you can go further down. But you're just going to simply sink the butt down, keeping the torso vertical as you do this. Now the temptation is going to be for the knees to collapse inwards. Your job is to use the strength of your side butt to pull the knees out wide as you lower down. Cool? And so you've got options. You can hold isometrics here. That can be with a weight or without weight as well, yeah? But the big thing is, as I was mentioning before, with this position. So if I show you from the side, let me heel toe out, get into position. When I'm here, pretending that wall in front of me and that wall behind me, I'm going to sink down. But look at this, I'm not tucking the hips under. That will actually limit your range. If I tuck under here, this is where I get to. And now watch this, without changing the position of my torso, I'm just going to anterior pelvic tilt. And look how much lower I can go. So to access this abducted position of the hip and sink lower into or deeper into hip flexion, I need to allow some anterior pelvic tilt to happen, yeah? But that doesn't change the torso angle. I still stay upright here. Knees are driving out, glutes are on to make that happen. Depending on how tight you are, you might feel a lot through the adductors or those inner thighs. You might feel some quads and hopefully a lot of glute as you're actively working to pull those knees wide. But again, it depends on the person in front of me and also their flexibility and mobility capabilities. Now, if we're adding weight to this, we can do it in a couple of different ways. So if I'm in position here, you can hold it up here. You can also hold it down here. And it's really just a personal preference to what's comfortable. Sure, there is a slight variation in terms of how the load sits, but more or less it doesn't really matter too much as long as you keep it consistent. Now from here, you can do the same thing and just hold isometrically and letting that weight pull you deeper down. But again, remembering not to sacrifice the knees collapsing in. They stay wide and the chest stays lifted. Or you have the option to doing reps. So you could allow yourself to sink down into your deep horse stance position just for a moment and then coming back up. You could sink down and up. So you've got that option of reps and isometric, and I like to play with both. And I like the load as well because you can obviously progressively overload, and it helps give you that feedback to allow yourself to pull or continue to encourage you to go further down. So you could do a couple of reps and hold here, and I'll use different protocols depending on the person that I'm working with and the context and capacity of that individual as well. But that is a quick demo of your horse stance. Give it a go and watch your hip mobility improve.